It's now time for panel discussion session among the chief marketing officers to be moderated by Dr. Deepak Kumar Sahu, editor-in-chief VARINDIA, and the topic for the session is Partner Transformation Key Enabler for Effective Business Transformation.
So, welcome gentlemen to the panel discussion session among the CMOs who have the versatile panel. So, to start with, we have Nave Chaudhary, Head of Marketing, Ingram Micro India. We have Rahul Singh, Vice President and Head of Marketing, SAP India. Kaustubh Patki, Marketing Head, India Micro Focus. Jagannath Chelaya, Director Marketing, Western Digital. Arpita Sen Gupta, Director and Head of Marketing, Red Hat India. And we have Vaishali B. Shivashankara, Head of Marketing, India and SARC, Rexpex Technology, and Ramesh Natarajan, CEO, Reddington, India. So Ramesh will join a little late. So let me introduce to the panel the theme of the event. Today, businesses are implementing transformation initiatives to gain faster time to market, stay competitive, and optimize the customer experience. So much so that the digital transformation market is expected to reach 3.2 trillion by 2025. Getting digital transformation right requires the right structure and discipline for the organization, strategy, and level of digital maturity. Partner transformation is equally important to succeed the mission of getting digitally transformed. It is all about improving the customer experience, employee experience, and business economics. In other words, it becomes essential. For others, digital transformation is more of a enabler, something that helps firms get the desired value from their transformation agenda rather than running a disconnected transformation program that spins wheels doesn't solve the problem. At the same time, we have seen an increasing focus on the growth of personalization. The emergence of new technologies will continue to strengthen the personalization track, helping marketers inch closer to their personalization goals. We look the enablers from a technology perspective and how processes are changing to offer cost efficiency. Let me start the discussion. We would request everyone to stick to their reply limited to 2 minutes. To start with, Naved, can you respond on the question what we have planned? Do you agree on partner transformation and customer centricity go hand in hand?
Deepak, yeah, I believe a lot on that. You know what happens if you have a consumer-centric approach, that obviously keeps the consumers enthusiastic about your brand. That's number one. Second, if you consider brands and have that kind of approach of consumer centricity, you know their preferences and insights. Then you can make your marketing plans accordingly with better ROIs. So if you have a consumer-centric approach, you're keeping your customers enthusiastic. Parallelly, you're developing your plans in a way that they have better ROI and you're making much better plans. And you know how the future beholds and you can amend your plans accordingly. That's one. Transformation of partner is very important. Reason being, they need to cope up with the market, the changing environment. Accordingly, they need to plan it accordingly as well. So it goes hand in hand. If you have that kind of approach, your partners will also have that kind of approach and reach out to market, and having consumer centricity with an approach of having effective marketing plans, it helps a lot. So that's a strategy we have been following as well and keep on doing that. And that's the approach is going to work in the near future.
Yeah. Okay, Naved. So, Jagannathan, what will be your take on it?
So it's a very pertinent topic today, Deepak, right? So customer centricity is kind of becoming the core of everybody's strategic outlook, right? So be it product, be it service, be it the digital experience you provide to the customer, both on the B2C and B2C side, you will need to actually do a design thinking type modeling with everything that you approach with, right? Now, with that in context, it's really important that you have your partners aligned to what you're doing in this space. A customer can actually unlock value for you if he is happy. A customer can actually bring in additional references, right? He's got great experience with your brand. Now, in most of the businesses, right, in India, the partner interaction with the customer is the moment of truth for a brand. That's where the rubber meets the road. So effectively, right, your partner is your brand representative there, which clearly means that your customer centricity strategy is at the hands of your partner. Okay? Now, if your partner is transformed with the way the brand thinks, okay, if he's aligned with the way the brand is trying to define its go-to-market story, it's trying to define its value proposition to the customer, then clearly, right, you have, right, a winning strategy out there. Partner effectively, right, is your execution arm to ensure that your customer centricity strategy translates into winning outcome. Partner transformation is super critical in the current context for us to execute a customer-centric approach. Okay, so that's my view.
Good. So, what Rahul, what do you say on it? Do you agree with Jagan?
Absolutely agree. First of all, thank you, Deepak, for the opportunity. It's great to be part of this discussion. And as far as your question is concerned, completely agree with Jagannath. And my answer is absolutely yes. In our business, especially which is B2B enterprise software, especially in a large, diverse market like India, companies rely heavily on the partner ecosystem to bring in my opinion, three things, right? Geographical reach, customer relationships, and technical competency. It could be in a specific technology, could be in a specific industry or a functional area. And like Jagannathan mentioned, our true north always is customer success or the value that you deliver to the customer. And we are a product provider, right? And the rubber, as Jagannathan mentioned, really hits the road when the partner comes in, right? Because he's the real interface, especially in our case in the mid-market. All of our mid-market business is done through our partners, and they are the service delivery partners as well, right? And customer success is actually dependent on the sum total of a great product that we bring to the table, but it is completed because of the partner capability to deliver a great experience on top of that product. So absolutely, they go hand in hand.
Good. So I think Arpita will have a different perspective. Arpita, can you hear from me?
No, yeah, I can, and I hope you can hear me because I've been having a bit of an intermittent internet connection. So look, first of all, I wanted to say, it's such a pleasure meeting everybody here, and I really, love the topic as well, especially when it comes to focusing on our partner ecosystem, which is so integral to our winning strategies. So to start with, I head the marketing team in Red Hat India. And as everyone would perhaps know, we are the leaders in the enterprise software space for open source, and having the opportunity to actually work through our customer centricity go-to-market strategies along with our partner ecosystem and actually winning it together has been anything but an accelerated learning, especially post the pandemic, right? So I just wanted to quickly take a step back on that, because while customer centricity has always been the core for our success, it has become the center of everything, and more so where technology has become the core of all solutions alike, even more so post-pandemic. So I thought I really wanted to share that aspect, because I think all our learning, especially in marketing, has sort of fast forwarded by a decade or so. I like to call it digital 2.0 or digital marketing 2.0, where we've clearly fast forwarded by a decade. But guess what? Our customers as well had to really pick pace. The world has never been here before. So they also had to accelerate their learnings. And what better way to do it is through our esteemed partners and that ecosystem who is out there to be able to take our solutions to them. So I think, this is sort of what I would like to share with. Of course, there's a lot more and beyond, which I'm hoping to share in the subsequent panel questions. But I'll kind of leave it there for now. So that's my perspective, Deepak.
Good. Kaustubh, what do you say on it?
Thank you, Deepak. And it was great to listen from all my colleagues and peers from the industry. And my opinion is not very much different. And I really like the way Jagan put it across. One of the key things for any businesses today, we see that the approach is no more product centric, but it is customer centric, and it has its own benefits, because a happy customer is what is going to get you more business, and a happy customer is going to be more referenceable. But one of the key things, if you look from an India market perspective, we are that distributed computing marketing where the feet on street today are the partners. So it's very important that while an organization is customer centric, they also need to ensure that they need to support the partner ecosystem in terms of transformation, because they are the ones who are the last mile. They're the ones who are managing the relationship with the customer. And if they are not enabled with the latest in the offerings, then that will be a point where business will not really flourish. So I think these two things go hand in hand and very important for any business to be successful.
Good. Now, Vaishali will see, I think she will say something different, because all softwares run in their data center. Vaishali, what do you say on it?
Yeah, so as everybody mentioned, my point is I do agree as like other my colleagues, like, yes, both partner transformation and customer centricity go in hand. But partners now, if we look at the current trend with the pandemic, they've already moved beyond the single capability roles, which used to play. Now they play across the value chain. Why this has happened is initially, I think when we look 2 years back, they used to say, okay, fine, we'll transform, partners will go, the legacy partners. But now the customers are already shifting their focus, like from buying the products and services. Now customers are looking at buying business outcomes, and they want everything to be accelerated quick. So even I think the partner ecosystem are also getting into this, and they're increasingly like they're complementing the providers. They drive this data-driven insights. They are also customer focused. They get to this enrich the customer interactions while they're collaborating throughout the customer journey. I would just like to quote one example here, like how this the partner ecosystem is adding value. Like Google Cloud is partnering with Cisco. Like why are they doing that? With Cisco, they are providing the customers like a well integrated platform that will enable them to accelerate on-premise app or even modernization of app, integrated security. So everything together. So there's an integrated transformation from the partner ecosystem that's happened, keeping the customer centricity in mind. Like how Kaustubh really mentioned, from the product-centric mode, be it the providers or the partners, all of us are looking at the customer centricity. So I think with this approach, yes, they go hand in hand. And also now I see the providers are more or less focusing on the partners, because now all the partner community ecosystem are going for a strong sales and marketing team. Why? Because they are the first one who are engaging the clients early in the sales cycle. Like one of the prominent hyperscalers are using this model. They're using the partners at the front end of the sales cycle. And with this, I would say over the period of 2 years, they've already found this 3.5x increasing in the opportunity size. So that's how like even the partner transformation is adding value to this chain, and how they are also getting customer centric focused.
I think customer centricity, if one has to define, it looks very clear that how a partner is trying to solve a customer's problem and not probably try to bring in what kind of products and softwares and hardware that he's dealing with. So centricity looks towards what is a customer going through, what is his problem, and what solution will enable him to have a seamless business execution. So I absolutely feel that partner transformation today is required for, and customer centricity goes hand in hand. In the days where we are today, if we are analyzing a business objective and you're looking at dashboards and KRAs and KPIs, let us say for a partner to try and understand revenue, margins, and the others, how do those initiatives, how do those dashboards and KPIs synchronize with a customer whom you're trying to solve a problem? And if that is probably synced up well, now that would require, what is a customer problem? What kind of customer? What kind of an IT problem? Is it a legacy to IT modernization? Is it from the point of on-prem to cloud? Is it a point of cybersecurity? Is it a point of getting agile? I think all of these are customers' problems depending upon the kind of customers. And if a partner is not well equipped or is being transformative in nature, it always leads to an employee's experience is equal to a customer's experience. Okay, if you don't get your employees well transformed in all the technologies concerned, he is not going to probably bring in a great customer experience. Okay, and today digital transformation, Deepak, is all about customer experience and not anything else. Okay, and to that extent, I feel an absolute hand-in-hand approach that a partner transformation actually leads to a high customer centricity, and it depends on what should partners do to equip themselves with tools and others to go towards solving a customer's problem. It's a business outcome that is what is being looked for. Nobody says it is an IT supplier. Everybody says it is an IT partner, because partner is somebody, an IT partner is more than an external CIO or an external CTO who helps a customer in whole of his IT infrastructure, identifying his business problems and trying to bring in solutions towards this problem. So I think partner transformation definitely goes hand in hand towards customer centricity, and an absolutely need of the hour requirement for the changing times that we are going through these days.
Wonderful. Now we'll move on to the second question. Why there is need of partner transformation for effective digital transformation? I'll start with Vaisali. Vaisali.
Yeah. So like there's one old African proverb that I think everybody knows about it. Like if you want to go quickly, then go alone. If you want to go far, then you have to go together. So in this fast-paced world of like modern digital business, like having a strategic partnership is given to go far. That digital transformation is a farther journey. It's not like a small short term that we are done with it, done and dusted. So it's a long term, and we need to have a right strategic partnership with us. Why is this need now? Because there's a need, like as I mentioned in my previous point, there's an accelerated time to market, wherein we have to create the need. And for this, there's a collaboration required, and then this community approach is coming in where a group of partners are co-creating the innovation and the co-selling together. So this is making all our traditional businesses like focused on, like initially where we are focusing on reseller relationship as one of the primary go-to-market motion is what we were looking at for the partners. But now the system integrators have leveled up their knowledge, the expertise, the knowledge of the customers. So now businesses are also expanding their business partnerships with the go-to-market motions with them while we are adding value services. Like if we remember like Forrester had quoted, like initially, like which it took like product-based economy, which was like been in 39 years, which was for 39 years a product-based economy. Now quickly we are giving way to an embedded white labeled future of the solution, wherein just building blocks where digital solutions are assembled from multiple providers, connected through plug and play APIs, and we are delivered through the cloud. So this is the go-to way wherein like a partner transformation is adding value to the effective digital transformation.
Good. So now, Jagan, what you will say on it? But I would say like partner transformation or digital transformation is just like a new way of doing business. Now we'll hear from Jagan.
Yeah. So right, Deepak, I see this as an extension of our previous discussion, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So digital transformation effectively means, right, for any organization to have an exalted business model that will allow them to compete in the current digital era. It's as simple as that, right? Now for that you use different tools and different partnerships, okay? And as we said, right, the most critical component for the success of any organization in India, right, is that strong partnership that they're going to have, right, with different types of partners to deliver different types of solutions to different customer segments. Look at it, right? Okay. So that's how typically, right, most of the organizations are operating in India, right? Now, okay, if you are, right, if one of your most important cogs, okay, is not transformed, okay. Now, what do we mean by transformation, right? So effective utilization of digital technologies, okay, smart use of data, okay, combined with a right business model to provide a solution. Now, if your cog, which is your partner wheel, is not working properly, okay, then that outcome, right, is not going to happen. Okay. So what that means is, as organizations transform, they'll need to work with their partners' ecosystem and ensure that they also transform, right? They have the necessary capabilities to actually embrace tech tools to go to market. They have the necessary capabilities to seamlessly integrate, ingest, and digest data so that they are also able to provide, right, the necessary business intelligence for you to drive digital transformation, right? Lastly, okay, so more, right? So, okay, so I see this, right? So coming from the, from the data storage industry, okay, I'm trying to build an analogy from there, right? So effectively, if you look at how, right, storage and computing is happening today, right? So there is a core which is in the backend, which is in the cloud, okay, and then there are nodes, okay, right, and endpoints, right? So if that's typically how, right, your value chain is also, right? So you have a brand, and then you have, right, nodes which would form large distribution organizations, and then you have endpoints which are your customers, right? So endpoints are super critical for you to get real-time information on the market, okay, for you to build, right, your digital story out there, okay. So super critical that you get the same level of transformation, digital transformation at your partner end, and, right, mirror it with what's happening in your organization, right? That's how I see partner transformations important, right, as a part of the larger digital transformation which every organization will undergo.
Rahul, for you, maybe it is a bit different. Can you say your perspective?
Well, not different. I think number one, I think digital transformation is not just a topic for panel discussions anymore, right? Most of our customers, at least in the last 2 years, have significantly accelerated, their transformation projects, and there is an unprecedented momentum that we are seeing in terms of transition to the cloud. Okay, companies, irrespective of size, from across industries, are now embracing the cloud, for its inherent advantages of agility, innovation, shorter time to value, etc. But what it has meant for our partners is that they have had to transform their business models, right? Because selling licenses versus selling cloud is a completely different business model altogether. And the good news is that, of course, we had a huge installed base of our SAP ERP system across the country. And we are seeing large number of those customers actually looking at moving to the cloud. And a lot of that transition has already happened as well. And in fact, we saw a lot of that movement happening in the mid-market, which was slightly unexpected. We expected larger customers to move first, but we are seeing a lot of transition happening in the mid-market. And a lot of that market is actually addressed by our partners. And as I said, I think for them, it involved a significant amount of transformation, not just in terms of reskilling themselves, but also skills in the areas of marketing and sales, for example, because the other mega trend that was anyways playing through irrespective of the pandemic was that the customer life cycle, the way they buy, evaluate, and consume the software was anyways changing. It only got accelerated. So for them, it was a huge change, and all of that credit actually goes to them. But from our perspective, of course, partner transformation is a journey, and it sits very high on our agenda. We continue to invest in building competencies in the partner infrastructure, not only from the point of view of building technical capabilities, but also new age digital, social, and content capabilities for demand generation as well.
Wonderful. Arpita, what do you say on this?
Yeah, so I agree completely on the fact that transformation is a journey, or exactly as my colleagues here said, it's a journey, it's a process. In fact, when it comes to partners, we really need to think about how to equip them to transform themselves in a dynamic way, right? So and as part of that, you're looking at tools, you're looking at resources, you're looking at insights, you're looking at a continuous support system, and that together would actually equip them to be successful, including ourselves, right? We also need access to all of these to be successful. And in Red Hat, what we actually do is we also try to really customize their needs of transformation. So for example, if the customer is into building solutions, there are certain partner programs which are built for that. If, for example, the partner is more in the service provider sort of category, again, there's a separate program for that. If the customers are in a continuous, only sell only mode, again, we have a separate program for that. And I thought I would call this out because just like internally we enable our teams, we ensure that continuous enablement happens for our partners too. So we have I would just like to call out these partner programs such as Red Hat Partner Connect, OpenShift Practice Builder program, cloud service provider programs, etc., because each and every one is meant for almost a different set of partners, a different route to market, a different segment that they are working on. And you actually have to, when you're building your channel or your go-to-market strategy, you really have to factor in all these different segments to which they are catering to, exactly to what I think Jagan had mentioned earlier, right? So you can't really, you have to plan in a more particular or rather more specific manner. If you're going through the ISV route to market, whether in that case, maybe it's more about building the foundation and building it for scale, right? If your route to market is through the SIs, for example, you're looking at actually expanding through them to the customers, right? And beyond. So you really need to also be very prescriptive to a certain extent of mapping the segment vis-a-vis, your strategic focus in line with that, to which route to market you're adopting. So for Red Hat, frankly, there are about 5 to 6 such routes to market, be it OEM, be it ISV, be it CCSP, be it distribution. Our respected Naved, you're here, and a lot more. And therefore, what I really want to say is that's how we align our strategy, depending on the route to market through the partner. What is the key driver that you want to do? What programs can you actually build to support them in the journey, and give them all the tools and resources readily available for them to succeed. So that's kind of what I thought I'll share.
Yeah, great. Naved, what is your take on it?
So I would a slightly different take to it. First of all, you need to understand digital transformation as a word. Obviously, everybody knows, working around it. But what it does, actually, it brings strategy and people beyond technology. So we need to understand, to be transformative, we need to understand that we need to have certain outcomes attached to it. So when it comes to the partner community, we need to convey the message very clearly that which are the areas they need to focus on and why we are doing digital transformation. How is it going to help you guys in the longer run and bringing in more business? Identifying those areas where digital transformation is necessary. Accordingly, the strategy has to be built out. In order to do that, and in order to have partners community working on those lines of identifying areas and making changes for better business outcomes and more business in the near future. If you remember, we did a digital transformation summit in 2019, which we did across 30 locations live with 30,000 plus partners registering on that. So that kind of efforts obviously are going to help. But more important point to my understanding is we need to convey the message very clearly, identifying areas within the organizations in the domain they work, that where digital transformation is going to bring their strategy together along with the elevation of their people, and it goes beyond technology. Implementation of technology is just not digital transformation. It's bringing in and scaling up the effort at the level of the employees, the people, when I say. And secondly, what are the strategies? So the strategy has to marry well with the digital aspects, and then the digital transformation is going to take shape in order to bringing in more business, bringing in effectiveness in new areas where they can explore, and more efficiencies on the current work they do. So that's how digital transformation is very important, and that's how it has to be taken forward.
Kaustav, do you agree with Naved?
Absolutely. In fact, I liked all the viewpoints and what Naved pointed out very well. And also taking up from the cue from what Rahul said, is that digital transformation is something which is accelerated thanks to the pandemic. And digital transformation is a process. As also Naved pointed out that this process has a couple of steps, as he said, that strategy. Today, we also need to ensure that if our customers need to accelerate their journey of digital transformation, this particular ecosystem, the entire partner ecosystem, needs to be ready. And how it can be ready is that the point, as Navid said, that strategy. We need to have that the partners need to have a consultative approach so that they can engage with customers effectively for the right business issues and business outcomes. Business model transformation is another point where the thing is that the partner ecosystem now needs to start thinking about different solution areas. They need to now move from the traditional approach to the new areas emerging, because according to that, their partnership status, the cost, the revenue, everything will move. They also need to have the skills of trying to get the information, data from the customer, propose what are the right kind of solutions that will really help customer to get the right outcomes, and then accordingly work with the principal and vendors. And last but not the least, people. I would say that the partners really need to have right set of skilled, enabled resources with them, because at a vendor organization, people will come, go. But if we have to sustain and ensure that the partners, the journey on digital transformation goes on, then we really need to have this partner ecosystem who will have skilled resources readily available out there, who will help the customer in digital transformation. So these partner transformations are important and fundamental for us to help customer on their digital transformation journey.
So let's look at probably why would customers go for a digital transformation? What are the objectives that a customer will try and look for? Now, let's look at practically the example in the last about 8 quarters, okay, post-pandemic, that has made or accelerated the digital transformation in most of the organizations in the absence of people connecting physically, okay, face-to-face or an eye-to-eye kind of an approach. First thing, as I say, is agility and efficiency. Sitting from anywhere. Now, what happened everywhere, a corporate office or a manufacturing base is sitting in one single place and doing together so that you all go and connect with each other. But then now, digitally at different parts, working from anywhere, working from remote, wherever across, how do you bring in agility and efficiency? There are about 5 or 6 things that any organization looks for in a digital transformation. A supply chain operations and efficiency, agility of the workforce, and IT resilience, and definitely business continuity as an outcome of it. Okay, workforce management, cyber security, and most importantly, the customer engagement. Because in the times of the pandemic, how do you then connect up with the customer and still ensure business is business as usual? I think digital transformation, if you have these 6 objectives, then it becomes imperative for a partner to understand this journey, what a customer is looking for. Because digital transformation is just not about technology. It is about a change in the mindset of the customer to adopt to digital. It is a change in the customer to the mindset that the employees have to transform themselves. It's a cultural change. Okay, it is a change of mindset that leads you to a digital transformation. But it's not so easy having a hybrid. A lot of legacy applications to move towards digital. Look at how the digital native customers behave, and look at all the legacy customers, the way they need to really take a whole lot of steps to move towards a digitally transformed organization. Okay, and it is just not one single function. All the functions cutting across should obviously have a very seamless integrated approach and not a very siloed approach. So that makes absolutely important for a partner to transform themselves to help aid the customers in the digital transformation. Because the journey is very large, the journey is continuous. And if you do not understand the journey of the customer and all of it, one is not going to help get the customer to achieve that advantage of the digital transformation. So to that extent, it is important.
Okay, good, great. So now we'll move on to the third question. What is your view on digital transformation? Is it about reimagining the business model and process to best serve the customer needs? We'll start with Jagan.
Yeah, okay. Very interesting question, Deepak. Okay. So let's look at it in two parts, right? So, okay. The criticality of digital transformation, right? So in my opinion, okay, so that's super critical for organizations which were formed and have very strong business models, right, based on the pre-internet era. Okay. However, okay, the organizations which are in the right, post-internet era pretty much evolved, right, based on a digital-led strategy. Okay. So effectively, it is for organizations, right, which have a model which not dependent on the digital platform, right, is where the extent of transformation is very high. Okay. Now for them, okay, you look at the consumer today, right? His psychology with respect to how he approaches a purchase is completely different. Okay. The psychological process of understanding a product, of experiencing a product, the product can be a service or a right or a solution or right any right device. Okay, it could be anything, right? So, but okay, the psychological process today is quite different. Okay, what that means is, okay, right, none of the traditional methods, right, of engaging with the consumer, delighting the consumer is valid today. Okay. Now, okay, clearly, okay, this calls for right a different way, right, of defining your business model. That's one. The second part is right to actually do that, okay, you need to have right a very strong right database strategy for you to define the right outcome. Okay. The third aspect is for you to have right the organizational climate, right, and the people within the organization clearly enabled to do this. Okay. Last but not the least, okay, you should have right a model which will allow you to innovate quickly and define newer solutions that will actually satisfy a market need. Okay. Now, okay, some of the examples, okay, that I would want to quote here are specifically for what we have done for partners in this org, right, in India. Okay. The biggest transition that is happening right in the B2B storage consumption model, right, is right from the solution moving from a unified architecture into a disaggregated form of right a storage consumption. This is at the enterprise level. Okay, clearly this calls for right a much higher level of understanding in terms of technology, right, expertise and skill set in terms of deploying right either an on-prem storage architecture or right a public cloud storage architecture. Okay. Now you will need to ensure that the partner ecosystem has the right kind of skill sets and capabilities to actually build this level of digital expertise, okay, in a very, very short span of time. Okay, so that is on the B2B side. If we look at the B2C side, okay, there has been a huge disruptions with respect to how right the channel and the retail ecosystem has actually worked over the last 18 months, right? So their business has been right significantly disrupted. Okay. Now, right at our end, we have done two things. One, okay, we have actually reoriented our entire partner marketing program, okay, to have right a very strong digital first approach, okay, be in terms of engaging with partners on a 24/7 basis, okay, to taking a proactive approach to upskill them to use okay digital platforms for engaging with their consumers. Three, giving them a basket okay, of assets which will allow them to engage with their consumers in a manner that is effective, from a business development perspective, right? Clearly, right, for me, digital transformation, okay, both right at the brand's end and at the partner's end is something which is mandatory and a given in the current environment. That's how I see it, Deepak.
Okay. So now I will understand from Kaustav.
I think Jagan gave a he addressed it very well. And then digital transformation is such a broad topic. And then if we have to talk on it, we can keep on talking. But when we see the kind of today, the way the requirement for digital transformation has accelerated, the answer is something like we really need to reimagine the business models and the processes, and the way this can be done is typical. The answer is in people, process, technology. When I say people, process, technology, let me start with technology. The customers really need to have a robust set of platform which can adapt latest technology, because it's a matter of for them to move quickly to what is next that is expected from a business perspective. When pandemic hit, people really had to make their systems available, processes available to an employee not sitting in the office but anywhere and everywhere. So business had to keep the light on, but at the same time they realized is that now they have to become digitally immune. So it means that now they have to be ready so that their businesses can keep on up and running whatever happens. So they really need to have to use technology which can bridge them between what they have and what they can be ready from a future perspective. They really need to have that agile IT operations, because at the end of the day, if systems and processes are not available when they are required the most, that's where all your application, your system needs to be up and running, because that's when business will be most productive. And last but not the least, from a people perspective, internal and external, you need to have that skills, especially partners who can go there, support, implement, and ensure that they're up and running. So I think digital transformation is a vast thing, but in short, people, process, technology will definitely help this journey to be smooth.
Okay, now what Rahul will say, we'll listen to him.
So digital transformation, I think Deepak is one of the most loosely used terms in our industry, right? I have been in the industry for over 24, 25 years. I've been hearing that term for as long as I've been in the industry, and at different points in that, during that period, it has meant different things, right? Because digital and transformation both existed since eternity, but digital has fundamentally changed of late, right? In terms of kind of technologies, etc. So my thought there, Deepak, is it is not really about investing in cool technologies or digitizing a specific process in an organization. In my opinion, digital transformation has three broad components or approaches. Number one is the customer, like you rightly pointed out in your question. Number one is the customer. Any transformation that one is embarking on has to keep the current or your future customer at the center of it. Okay, without that, you don't know what you're solving for, right? What transformation is a problem-solving approach, right? And in this case, you are solving for the customer. Number two, it is not a piecemeal approach. You cannot digitally transform one part of your business and choose not to transform others. It has to be a holistic approach where you transform your organization across the front, middle, and your back offices. And number three is what is called the digital first mindset, right? Or in fact, you should call it digital only mindset now. For instance, if you look at traditional company CEOs, they will tend to solve any business problem in a very operational fashion, right? Their knee-jerk reaction to a business problem would be, let's set up another warehouse, let us buy more trucks, set up a new factory, or hire more people, etc., etc. But if you look at new age companies, they tend to take a what you call the digital first approach, right? Where you look at the problem and you see whether is there a smarter way of solving that problem, right? And clearly for traditional companies, there is a lot in their digital transformation journey. There is a lot they can learn from the digital natives or the startups. And just to give you one example, somebody like an Uber came to India, 6-7 years back with maybe 5 people. And, what were they trying to solve? They were trying to solve, the mass transit or mass mobility challenge that we had in India, especially in the urban centers. They did not start buying or did not start trying to build the world's largest cab company, right? They looked at the existing technologies and took a digital approach to solving that same problem. And what have we seen in the last 6-7 years is that they have created millions of jobs and probably billions of rides have been delivered, which would have been fundamentally impossible if you were to take a traditional approach to solving that problem. So that's really my take on digital transformation.
You have said the right answer. Now, I think the distribution perspective, Naved will have a different experience because he's dealing with, I think you must be dealing with almost all the OEMs that are present here. Naved, what will be your perspective? Naved, are you there?
Yeah, I'm very much here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would have a slightly different take. Reason being, I'll divide it into 3 things. One is there have been not a small change, it was a metaphorical change actually before post-COVID. So there are 3 things we need to divide. One is the business model, number 1. Second is companies coming up or the OEMs coming up with the new products. And third is how we perceive the customer experience. So number 1 is how the business model works. A lot of small partners or even the retailers for some OEM, mobility OEMs for that matter, were firmly working on customer experience model where a consumer is coming to their outlet, experiencing the product and they're selling it. Now the model is completely different. They moved from a typical environment of a general trade to a online mode. Various partners have now online platforms where you can experience the product in terms of obviously not physical, but through pictures and all that. The entire specs are there, and then you can book it, and it's home delivered within the same day. In accordance to that, what we have to do is to alter our marketing plans also. What we have done is we have made plans and have put in strategies of WhatsApp integration and all that, so that offline to online and online to offline model coexist. That's one change of how you do the business. Second is companies coming up with innovative products. There's a huge line of products which got launched and were well accepted. Even there was a shortage of some of the products. I was personally looking for a 14-inch laptop during last year during the pandemic, and I was not able to find that. There was not a single unit available in India. And as a matter of fact, for the continuously 3 months, almost 15 to 20 lakh devices were being sold, and there was a scarcity of devices. Most of the companies took that as an opportunity and come back with devices which are very price conscious, number 1. Second is more feature sets. So new products and new business models to cater to the requirement. And third, and the most important thing is how you perceive the customer experience. The companies who have perceived the customer experience in the right way have made inroads, not for a shorter duration, but for the longer term. Their product strategy and go-to-market strategy have changed basis that. So a lot of companies use that period to understand customers and consumers and doing market research, though it was not physical at times because of the pandemic, but that's how it has been. So I think these are the 3 critical changes or the important points we need to cater to, and those are the things which are really help businesses.
Arpita, how you will perceive with the answers?
Yeah, so I think your question is sort of an extension of the very first question on customer centricity, because if you think about it, when we say customer centricity, then it also says that we follow the customer where they are leading us to, right? And essentially, when it comes to our business processes and frameworks and how we build it, it has to really align to that core value, right? So I would first want to say that it would be an extension of that, and essentially the other part, which I was very keen and was kind of keenly listening in, is one thing is very critical. So customers at the moment, the gone are the days where we can push content to customers. It's all about a pull mechanism as opposed to a push mechanism, because customers today are very even more well researched than ever before, and all of us are, just like we try to do our research online and try to figure out, match different specifications and feature sets for even something like a laptop or the reference earlier, right? Customers too are doing that. They're actually not only browsing for content online, they're part of very key peer groups, certain ecosystem groups, user groups, etc. And therefore, it is really important to plan your business framework in a way where you're able to actually think through or provide that content in a very easily to them. You really need to be present out there, and you have to build systems to be able to provide that to them, right? So that you don't really have to keep on pushing the content strategy. So that is something which I thought, I would want to extend out from customer centricity to how we have to follow the customer, how we have to adapt to their ways of consuming our services and processes. The other part is in terms of the current way in where they also, like especially now I'm bringing out the partner part, where we need to also transform our ways to adapt to our partners' success. So for example, in Red Hat, the reason why we are, and we've been quite ahead in times, I would say, in terms of our subscription services or our service-based offerings. But one of the reasons why we were able to make our partners successful also in these processes is because of that recurring revenue model, right? So we're really thinking ahead in terms of, okay, if you have this recurring revenue stream, are we able to give it to you in a way where you're able to not only know your customers, you know when they're due for renewals, you're able to build that data intelligence, and have those insights at your fingertips, and then move on to then provide them that customer experience that they require through that entire customer life cycle. So therefore, these are a couple of things which come to mind. To give you also a quick stat, Red Hat being a technology company, we already had we actually have a large distributed workforce. And in fact, 25% of our workforce was actually working remotely even before the pandemic. So what really happened is that we already had a used and tested model of remote working even prior to the pandemic. And it was just easier to then ramp up, scale, and learn from there and apply it, for our customers through our partners to be able to replicate a lot of what we were doing in home. And of course, we had to scale it for ourselves too. So these were a couple of areas that I think, would be relevant, but waiting to share more.
Okay. Vaishali, you agree with all these discussions what the gentlemen have shared here?
Yeah, I do agree to all of them because in bits and pieces, almost everything is covered. So, but I would just add, because almost everything is spoken, I would just say that I agree to what Kaustubh, Jagan, and Rahul was mentioning, that it's all about culminating the business model, people, and the technology together. Then it's going to be successful. Else, I think a CIO or a CISO, they will say, yes, we have done the digital transformation. You go and ask them, what's the outcome, what's the effort? If they're not able to mention as to what is the outcome or the percentage of changes that's brought across, then of course, digital transformation, or it's just a buzzword. It's not happened. So like how Rahul was mentioning, it's all about the problem statement and being from the customer. If anything comes up to you, you need to identify like a design thinking process. Are we solving this problem with this design, digital transformation happening? Will this be solving the problem, and how are we going to get the processes or the people attached to it? It all get culminated to it. So I would just say that it's all about unlocking the value of these business processes and giving it back to the customer. So it's all about customer centricity. And with this, being agile is most important, using the data, because now I think data is available freely in silos. So making use of the data and analyzing it and using that to create more innovative experiences and giving back to the customers. So I would just like to give an example, like how Naved was mentioning about the laptop thing. Like everybody will be aware of this. Like there was a US-based Arrow Electronics. They are one of the largest distributors and services company of the electronic components and computer products. So in a traditional way, they were just a distributor of this electronic components and the computer products. With this changes that's happened, they were nimble enough and quick enough to change over this. And then what they did is they moved this technology solution. Arrow Electronics partnered with IBM. So that they can get into this new space, and they started reinventing this airport operation with this new IoT solution. So how did they play now? So the solution leveraged all the IoT sensors, the gateways, all of them were sourced by Arrow, along with the IBM's Watson products, IoT platform, and of course for the Maximo Enterprise Asset Management software. So this way, being nimble and utilizing the current data, putting people, process, and technology together and being ahead, I would say that that's going to be the true digital transformation, culminating all the processes together.
Great, Vaishali.
So let me start the subject a little different. What would a partner need to succumb with when he goes to a customer and starts looking for, or what are the different barriers that a customer will have in himself? I think the first barrier is the organizational barrier itself, because how do you get to let know the employees that we are moving from, should I say, a physical to a digital, from an offline to an online? And that means a whole lot of technology skill sets that you have today is not good enough, but you need to probably redo, reorganize, reskill, build new competencies, build new skilled forces to try and adapt to the new digital world. And that's the barrier they need to cut across, which means somebody has to have a consultative approach to sit with all the CXOs and make them understand this shift is for the future. Now you need to know how to try and walk the journey from the old to the new. And that's the first thing. The next, when you have taken a decision to move towards a DT, let's say digital transformation, how do you get to manage your data? Data barrier becomes the most important structure, because for you to be digitally evolved, you need to have one single source of truth through the data. Now, there is so much of unstructured data in today's different functions worked in different silos. How do you get a single pane of glass or a window that puts data as the single source of truth? Now that becomes very, very important. Third, workflow barriers. How do you get the different functions, starting off from procurement, starting off from manufacturing, starting off from probably marketing, most importantly, start with customer interfaces, Salesforce operations, and then finally towards production, supply chain, and to the last mile connectivity. There are some workflow barriers that should ensure that each siloed functions now becomes an integrated function to ensure the end business objective. Lastly, implementation barriers. Okay, to try and get all of this and have the people in place, have the competencies in place, and ensure that you are in a position to deliver what your customer wants in a much more seamless fashion. Now, these are 4 barriers. If a partner has to walk through a customer, now the partner should be well informed. They should ideally be through the experience of understanding this and help the customer pass through this journey. I think it is more digital transformation. As I said earlier, it's not about technology. It's about reinvention of business models. It's a change in the business model that one should get accustomed to. And then depending upon different customers, you need to have your skill sets done effectively. Partners should look at, should it be cloud? Should it be edge computing? Should it be IoT? It depends on where you want to build your skills and competencies. Or it also depends on what kind of customer sets you have, what kind of problems would they have, and to those problems, how do you try and equip yourself to try and ensure that you walk the customer through the journey of transformation so that you're well transformed to get the customer digitally highly transformed. And an end objective of any of the DT or digital transformation is a great customer experience. That is today the measure. Earlier, we used to call it as Net Promoter Score, called NPS. Today, we call it the CX. Okay, and digital transformation gets measured ultimately by your customer experience. And very ironically, digital experience is actually the human interface that gets the delight for the customer, which means you don't go talk to a customer about operations, process, and everything. You talk to the customer whether, have you derived the business objective? Has it solved the problem? Has it made your customers and yourself much more integrated? Are you in a position to understand the customer's problems, not only for today, in the coming years to come? And hence, are we well prepared from an IT perspective? Are you well prepared from solving the business problems? Are you well prepared in terms of process automation and workflows? And I think that states the objective.
Now we come to the last question. That is last but not least, do you agree that personalization marries the best of both worlds for customers as well as the brands? The most challenging is you have to answer in one sentence. I will start with Rahul. Rahul, you are in the mute.
I actually finished my first sentence, so I think we're done with it, right?
Can you repeat? Can you repeat? We are not here.
No, very difficult to talk about personalization in one sentence. All I'm going to say is that the ability to create highly relevant contextual communication experience, etc., was always very important for businesses. But now, with some really sophisticated technology that is available today, I think our ability to do this at scale has become a lot easier, right? And personalization, I personally think, is going to be one of the mega trends for the Indian economy, and it will be a huge differentiator for brands.
Thank you. Jagan.
Though if you were to give me more time, I'm going to tell you a story which I told in another discussion, which is about my love-hate relationship with my bank, who I've been in a relationship with for 17 years, but they still woo me every day 4 or 5 times, basically spam me, right? So while we keep talking about, and then they have a very huge memory loss as well, right? They don't remember anything about me, okay? And the point was, what I was trying to make is that we'll keep talking about personalization, hyper-personalization, etc. But I think we have a long, long way to go to really get there, right? While the technology exists, but I think it is really more about the mindset and, putting that whole mindset into that infrastructure to really achieve personalization at scale.
Okay. Now we'll listen from Jagan in one sentence. How do you say?
Yeah, right. So before I start, right. So Rahul, on a lighter note, I think you should advise your bank, right, to store their valuable content on Western Digital's diverse portfolio that we have for the data storage. Yeah, I think that's what they lack right now.
Brilliant plug, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Rahul. Okay. So right. Let me try one line summary. Okay, and then if you permit me, I'll probably expand. Okay. Personalization, okay, delights the consumer, okay, so that, okay, it delivers, okay, up to 5x increase in share of wallet for the brand. Okay, so this is how I see personalization. Okay, today you have data, okay, structured and unstructured, that is available for you to understand, gauge, sense the interest of a consumer, define a persona of what will make him happy, what is the need that he has, and how you will solve it. Okay, clearly, okay, we are entering an era of hyper personalization, both in terms of B2B consumption and B2C consumption. Okay, we are in for exciting times.
Good. Naveed.
Yeah, so personalization track is a very critical thing, as rightly pointed out by Jagan. what happens is, consumers are gravitating towards companies or the brands which thinks about them, feels them, and personalize products to them and provide good service. So they are always looking for those brands. At times in a particular category, the pricing also doesn't matter if you provide good service and you think about them, and you feel about them. You make services and offerings which cater to their need of today or maybe for future. So I think it matters to both the worlds. And from a partner perspective, as a consumer perspective, this becomes very, very relevant. And personalization is the key that needs to be addressed.
Good. Arpita.
Yeah, very interesting. You've thrown a challenge to us very conveniently.
The winner will get the chartered flight to come to Delhi.
Oh, okay. We're all witnessing this, so it's all documented now and recorded, Deepak. So look, I think this is a very interesting topic, if anything. But in one sentence, I would say that personalization is making our story a part of theirs, right? So if you think about it, the moment we are able to associate our solutions and how we are able to cater to the customer's needs, and talk it in the language within which they are actually living it every single day and really are requiring that solution. How do we make our story, which is, say, in this case, our solutions, a part of theirs? And how do we speak it in a way that they really associate and understand it? And that is even more critical, because in the current times, customer loyalty is not anymore only dependent on the relationships that we have built over the years, or our sales teams have inculcated through their years of association with them, including our partner teams, of course, but rather more about how are you able to deliver to their needs, and how are you really able to resonate to their key pain points, right? So therefore, with customer loyalty, frankly, being at an all-time low, and relationships not being the way they were, a couple years ago, we need to continually be able to adapt and be adept to speaking their lingo. So I know it's a much longer answer to the one sentence, but that's kind of what my take is.
Okay, good. Now we'll listen from Kaustav.
So, Deepak, personalization is no more a competitive edge. This is the least that your customer is expecting. Personalization today has happened to the extent we are getting to hyper personalization. We just heard about it. So my only thing is that personalization is important. Do not personalize till the time it reaches an annoyance level, but keep it at a level where the customer is delighted. That's what I would put it.
Wonderful. Wow. What a one-line answer. We'll listen from Vaishali.
Okay. So yes, I agree with Kaustav. Personalization is a need of the hour. Though it's challenging, it's a path. So I would say being relevant, providing timely information throughout the customer journey will help us to increase revenue, retain the clientele, grow the business, and being our advocacy program.
Advantage of digital or being digitally transformed is personalization. Whether you look at it from a B2C perspective or you look at it from a B2B perspective, it's all about a customer feels that he is owned by somebody. To that extent, personalization has become the norm of the day through social platforms, through multiple social networks that today makes you and me understand who we are. Okay, sometimes you need to have somebody else letting you know that, you've got a lot of interest in A, B, C, and D. And now that you've got these interests, we are now giving you this solution for your problem of this, or you're interested in this. This is what you're looking for. Can we give you much more of this? I think personalization, I also feel even in the enterprises, there are customers depending upon different customer verticals. For instance, BFSI has got a certain set of solutions. If you don't understand that space very well, if you don't understand, is it a core banking? Is it a customer interface? Is it a support desk, or is it anything else? What kind of solution that you need to give to them to have a better experience? You need to know the customer well. Earlier, customer well was more for meeting and talking and having a cup of coffee. But today, all of it is through the social networks, and hence you being digital comes extremely handy for bringing in more personalization. The more data you have about the customer, the more number of years you have know about the customer, and you have managed to get the data, there's a whole host of AI and ML which helps for you to put together about the customer, the pattern of the customer, the style of the customer, the problems of the customer vertical that it is intended to. For instance, today, manufacturing industry, the biggest augmented reality and virtual reality has become an order of the day for a customer to try and buy a car or a bike. So you don't have to really go to the retail. You probably have to have the capabilities of showing your car or your bike in the virtual reality for anybody to go and have a 360 degrees, understand the specification, the speed in which you can have a 3D simulations and all of it. And this is how customers today are willing to make their purchases, just being digitally well informed and well connected with. Now, this makes personalization very key for you to retain customers and for your new customer acquisition on a regular basis. Okay, I guess it's all about ecosystem approach. Okay, now personalization brings in not just one or two partners or vendors or brands who can solve the problem. It is a lot more partners, a lot more capabilities. A lot of brands put together will have to solve a customer's problem. So for the brands, the more they understand about the customer's personalization, customers' needs independently, they have better solutions and better products and better designs to come up with. And partners who understands their customers far more deeper by virtue of building their capabilities of connecting with the customers on social networks, it helps them to take data, understand the customer, and go with the proactive approach of enabling solutions rather than being reactive or being very disruptive about it.
Wow, what a wonderful panel discussion. I'm really thankful to all the panelists in the discussion. I have learned a lot from the discussion. I am sure the audiences and the viewers are going to learn a lot of things from this. Please join the session. We'll share the link. Thank you so very much.